When you sign up for an online account, it's the last thing you're thinking about. But a time will eventually come when you're gone, but your Facebook, Twitter, and anything else you signed up for are still living on the internet. Here in Portland, one startup is getting national attention because it's helping people plan for their digital death. I caught up with Glenn Williamson. He's the founder of WebSees, an appropriately named company that helps you plan for dying in the age of the internet. So I guess we can start. What is WebSees?
WebSees is a digital discovery company, and by digital discovery, what we do is we work with the states and the families of the deceased to go out and uncover digital assets and accounts they may not have known about.
All right, and so you said you had an experience with your mom and trying to shut down her stuff or figure out her assets.
I did, and the idea first came to me when I saw two friends on LinkedIn. So I live on LinkedIn, and if I was searching, and it said, if you like these people, you may want to search on these other two, who are unfortunately both deceased friends. And that's how I came up with the idea, just from the social media aspect. 2 months later, my own mom passed away. And then I started thinking about travel points and Amazon accounts and all the digital assets. So it took about 20 plus hours, and it's a job that you don't ever want to do, and you're going to learn it and do it once. So what we had to do was go search all the accounts we thought she was a member of. But for instance, I thought she was an American Airlines customer. Waded through their system, spent 20 minutes. She was not. I found out she was a United customer and had 54,000 miles, and we were able to retrieve it and close the account. So the point is, when you do the search, if somebody didn't do the planning up front, you have to search through everything. Like if I'd stopped at American, I would not have known about the United points. So it's an arduous task.
And so there seems to be just this giant niche that you're able to fill, because there's stuff we don't do when you said we click that button, that agree button. So kind of, could you talk about just kind of that space of not really knowing what your digital assets are?
Yeah, if you look at the average American, has about 50% of us actually have a will. As you get older, the number gets a little bit higher. But most Americans don't adequately plan, unfortunately, for anything. So if you don't have a will, you sure haven't thought about your future of your digital assets. And those who have a will or a trust, most of my attorney friends will tell you 10%, 15% actually have provisions in there for their digital assets. So the problem is identifying them. And then if you do identify them, the terms of service can be radically different from one site to another. And that's part of our value, is we'll find the accounts to our best ability, and then we'll let you know this is United's policy versus American. This is, Marriott will allow you to transfer points to a living spouse or donate it. Other programs are different, where you could donate it to any living member.
And so what about social? So what about if I was to die tomorrow, there'd be like 10 social media accounts.
And that's really where we started. And again, we can't search everything. We're adding accounts every month. We're building what we search on. But we search on all the top social and instruct the families on what you can do. Facebook just made a change recently where they'll allow the families to default to whatever the privacy setting that the decedent had. But in the day, you could either memorialize an account or you could close an account. So there's a lot of different options. Twitter is different than Tumblr, is different than Facebook, and that's where the confusion comes in.
And why do you think you're getting so much attention?
Because it's a growing problem. One of the things to solve the problem is the ULC, which is the Uniform Law Commission, and they've done great work, and they're trying to come up with common language that could be adopted that gives the fiduciary access. So when somebody passes away and you're the fiduciary, it's your job to go settle the estate. What we do is we provide an asset inventory for something that may not have been taken care of. So the problem's coming to head because our online lives are increasing. I saw a statistic the other day that by the age of 2, 92% of Americans have some form of a digital presence. So it's just growing so much, and the population's aging. So I think it's a timing issue.
And people kind of talk about the web right now being like this Wild West, where there's like not really a lot of rules and laws, and there's a lot of crazy things that are perfectly legal that just, it seems really crazy that you can do them. So how are you kind of working with that?
We actually were in stealth mode for about 18 months, studying the law. The state laws differ drastically, studying what does the Federal Stored Communication Privacy Act mean. There's all sorts of acts where And that's why Yahoo and Google say, hey, we don't want to give up data because the federal government says we have to safeguard it. So what we did is we spent about 18 months really understanding what was the problem and what we could do within the constraints of the law. So 4 things we don't do: we don't hack. We do not hack or gain illegal access. 2, we don't violate the terms of service. Whatever you clicked on for Google or Marriott or Hyatt is what you're bound by, and we just give you those options. The 3rd thing is we'll tell you if an account exists, and we'll instruct you on the end-of-life options or retrieval of points, but we don't actually distribute the content. And the 4th thing we don't do is we won't shut the account. So we've had a lot of requests from families saying, hey, can you just go ahead and shut the account? We leave that up to the estate. So what we do is we provide a search mechanism that would normally take about 20 hours, and then you get a report that says, here's what we found, and per the terms of services, here's how to shut or memorialize an account.
And why do you think people are so intrigued by like their digital death, or they're so, you know, they're paying for a service, they're doing this thing ahead because, you know, to die online?
Because people are starting to consider it. What happens? You know, when I had never considered it, and I'm a 25-year, you know, network security guy, and when I saw 2 friends show up on LinkedIn, it just started the snowball effect where I'm thinking, I'm only on LinkedIn, you know, I really don't do Facebook. I think I shut that account, but I have Marriott, I have Hyatt, and I went through everything. So I think it's just coming to a head, and a lot of good journalism like you're doing. You know, the problem's not going to be solved just by lawyers. There's a lot of smart lawyers working on it. There's a lot of legislative bodies that are working on it. The vendors are working on solutions. You know, guys like me are coming in from the technology side, but really journalism, reporting on the problem. A lot of people will say, I don't have digital assets, and you ask them 3 questions, and they go, oh, I've already got 6.
So how would you succinctly sum up the problem?
The problem is people don't pre-plan, and the problem is the average American has somewhere between 13 and 18 online accounts, and when they're gone, those accounts are out there active for a certain period of time. So that's the problem. We find those, and to our best of our ability, we instruct the estate on how to shut them.
All right. Do you want to maybe walk me through how you do what you do?
This is a report we actually did for a client, but we've scrubbed all the personal data.
Okay.
So obviously we would never share any personally identifiable information. And this is interesting to note. This was the demographic of this person was a female, mid-50s. Women always have more accounts than men.
Okay.
my wife jokes. My wife has 3 times, probably 4 times the account. So the report is a summary of what we checked for, and we list out how many email accounts. In this case, I think we had 2. I don't have my glasses
7
on.
net social, 14 travel, 7 shopping, 2 email.
So this person had 30 accounts that the family may or may not have known about. In this case, we actually knew the client, and the family didn't know about any of these.
Wow.
So what we did is we have a simple, you know, diagram. And what's funny is when we first built it, we had hyperlinks, but the average person using this report is a little bit older. So we actually went with a bigger font so it's more usable and for our client demographic. But anything with a check mark is what we found. So Facebook, Google+, Instagram, etc. This person was very active in travel. So you can just see by the profile, this was probably a professional traveler. So these are the different categories we search on: rental car, shopping. And then if we find an account, what we do is, per the terms of Google, we will instruct you exactly on what you have to do. And this isn't our opinion. This is per the terms of Google. You know, if you scroll down, this person also had an Alaska Airlines account. So per the terms of Alaska, we'll tell you what they need to do. There's a real benefit for the vendors is working with us as opposed to working with a lot of different people. Really cuts down their customer service support time.
And what about like legality? Like how do all these brands feel about you kind of, you know, going and cataloging and going in there and doing all this for people?
We're not doing anything illegal. Everything we're doing is open source and searchable. So all we're doing, and we're not transferring account information. So we don't get account information, we don't get passwords. All we're verifying is there an account? And if there is an account, per the terms of whatever the vendor, this is what your options are.
Okay.
So we're in no way, shape, or form violating anything. And that's why I went back to what don't we do? We don't hack. Whatever American or whatever, you know, JetBlue has for their terms is what we instruct the clients.
And have you come across any that are like, wow, by clicking this, you're agreeing that no one but you can close that. Are there cases like that?
I haven't personally run across any, but the one thing I would tell everybody after building the company for 18 months is read your terms of services. I mean, I've been in rooms of lawyers speaking, and it's kind of funny. And I said, okay, show of hands, and I won't tell your clients who here has read all the terms of every cloud thing you clicked on, pictures, email, Evernote, whatever. And almost everybody in the room, unfortunately, said, "Oh yeah, I don't always read." But reading the terms of service may help you pick one service over another. I don't like the way they handle my end-of-life options, and this other service may offer a better option for your estate.
Okay.
So read the terms.
And then I guess if you're gonna, in terms of what's next for you, for the company, for digital deaths in general.
Right now, the product is delivered primarily through estate professionals and probate, so it's a professional product. We search on many different data elements. We had a large cry from a consumer base saying we would love a consumer product that's, we don't need something as robust as, say, an estate planner. So within the next 2 weeks, we plan on launching a customer-based product where we'll scan based on email addresses. So we're moving more towards a consumer market, and then down the road, we're actually going to move to a consumer product for the living.
Right.
Yeah, for people that really want to understand what their online presence is. I mean, I think we'd all be shocked if we went, oh yeah, I guess I did join that account.
And what about, do you see the law changing or catching up much?
We're all hopeful. Again, the work that the Uniform Law Commission is doing, it goes to vote in July. We're hoping that gets accepted, because what it'll do is it'll give the states commonality in the language, and it'll give the fiduciary, the people that are stuck cleaning up the mess, the ability to actually do their job. Because in some cases you're in fiduciary no man's land. You may find the account, but the terms might be such that you really can't do anything with it. So we're hoping that the laws catch up and that changes in the future.